Happy Sunday evening, Who Dat Nation, and happy week 15, Bayou Blitz family. I hope everybody is doing well out there. If you are anywhere along the northeastern seaboard, God, stay warm. We had 6 inches of snow on Saturday evening, and we have wind chills in the negative digits right now. So stay warm, stay safe. But if you're a New Orleans Saints fan, you get to stay happy on week 15, at least for one more week, as the Saints not only defeated the Carolina Panthers in one of the most exciting games of an exciting weekend of football, but accomplished back-to-back wins for the first time since week 10 and 11 of the 2024 season. And here to recap it all are your Bayou Blitz co-hosts. My name is Bob Rose. His name is Brendan Boylan. Brendan, please tell me Charlotte, North Carolina is just a little bit warmer than Western Pennsylvania.
I don't know. We're supposed to get in the teens tonight. The wind chill had it feeling like 20 degrees or something like that for most of the day. And of course, this afternoon, my wife and I did this really unique historical tour of some of the homes here in our town.
Oh, cool.
Which was really neat, but it was freezing. And of course, you go into historical homes and it's not like those things are insulated very well either. So you're still freezing. But no, very, very cool. Very cool. I will say people in Charlotte, North Carolina are not happy, not just because of the weather, but talk about a missed opportunity for the Carolina Panthers, who should they have beat the Saints in New Orleans, would have just needed to win one of their two matchups against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to clinch the division for the first time in, 10 years?
Yeah,
2015 would have been the last time. The Super Bowl year for them. So a lot of upset people for different reasons. I think it's fair to say we saw a lot of yellow on the field today for both sides.
Yeah.
And I think, and we've talked about this before on this show, is Charlotte has this weird relationship with Bryce Young. And this was a really good opportunity if Bryce could have led the team down the field to take the lead late in the game or win the game. I think it would have cemented some sort of confirmed belief and hope. But he wasn't able to do that, which just makes the relationship still weird. We'll get into everything and what I'm hearing here in Charlotte, but let's talk about the Saints. But before we do that, let's talk about our friends over at Get Checked or Check Out. You talked about the cold weather, and we were going to joke about this until it starts getting warm, Bob, but you talk about the cold weather. They got a trip coming up that is going to be some nice warm weather for people like you who live in the Northeast, people in New Orleans who are even closer to the equator that are still experiencing some cold this time of year. So, Bob, let's let you take it away and tell everybody about the Go Black and Gold Celebrity Charity Fan Cruise. I'm very happy we can both now say that without twisting up words.
And you know what? I am glad you gave me an extended promo because I wasn't prepared. I had to fumble behind me just for my readout. So Shireen, Go Black and Gold, cruise members, cruise family members. If I seem disorganized, I apologize, but I won't lie to you. I am. But with the holiday season coming upon us, you can not only gift yourself and your family a vacation, but you don't even have to feel bad in doing it because you get to benefit a terrific charity in the process. The 2026 annual Go Black and Gold Celebrity Charity Fan Cruise, sponsored by Get Checked or Check Out, is Thursday, March 26th through Monday, March 30th. This year's destination is a brand new one. I say we because my family and I are going for the second straight year and we cannot wait, but we are embarking for an unforgettable weekend in the tropical Bahamas. And we're doing so with Black and Gold, New Orleans Saints legends, Tyrone Hughes, Delvin Breaux, Courtney Roby, and Michael Lewis. All four of those guys have been annual cruise goers, and they bring their families too. And you know what's awesome? You don't just get limited exposure to these guys or their families. We are all hanging out together. We have our own section of the ship. We do everything together. We're eating the dinner. We're eating dinner, lunch, breakfast together. We're hanging out in the bars, the casinos, on the deck, wherever your favorite cruise hangout is. We're hanging out on the beach. And we get to do it all. Like I said, together. We'll be visiting the brand new Celebration Key Island in the Bahamas, as well as Nassau, where during this trip, we are playing beach Olympic games with your favorite Saints team captain. We're also going to be playing in an intense but very fun putt-putt golf tournament. Each putt-putt team is led by Delvin, Tyrone, Mike, and Courtney. It's fun to have them trash talk each other, but we all get into it. It's a blast. We're enjoying meals, game nights, trivia, Q&A, autograph sessions with these players. But like I said, we're hanging out together the whole time. We are partying the days and nights away, but we're doing it for a cause. And that cause is the Get Checked or Check Out Foundation. Check them out at tcynow.org. The foundation was co-founded by Shireen. So if you have any questions about promotional opportunities or cruise questions, you can contact Shireen at 504-305-7563. Better yet, just reserve your spot today. Surprise your family for the holiday, benefit a great cause in doing so. But call Summer to book that spot. Summer's number is 985-788-6584. When you do contact Summer or Shireen, let them know that you were referred to by us and the Bayou Blitz. They will take care of you. But listen, tcynow.org. Get Checked or Check Out. Their foundation is put into place to help us, help all of us, help people who have received a negative medical diagnosis. You don't know where to turn. That's why Get Checked or Check Out was founded. They will steer you in the right direction for research, treatment options, possibilities, even provide an answer who to turn to for perhaps financial assistance, as well as therapy options, both individual and group or family. But again, they're a charitable organization. So you can donate by going to tcynow.org. But this annual Go Black and Gold Celebrity Charity Fan Cruise, that's their biggest fundraiser of the year. So that's when I say you get to treat yourself to a vacation, but you don't even get to have to feel guilty about it because you're benefiting a great cause. These tickets, as well as other fundraising events on the cruise, they go directly to this foundation and the great things that they are trying to do. And with that, Get Checked or Check Out, as ever helpful as they are, wants to remind all of us to take better care of your health. Take better care of your loved one's health. Make those doctor's appointments today. Don't care whether it's a physical, mental, emotional issue. You keep up on it. You keep up on your family members to keep up on theirs as well. But like I said, the first and best thing that we can do to help this foundation is we get to treat ourselves to a weekend in the Bahamas. So book that trip with Summer today. Again, that's March 26th through March 30th. I'm really excited about going to the Bahamas. I mean, what Rose wouldn't want to go to the Bahamas and the Bermuda Triangle? I get to cross that off of my bucket list, and I get to help a great charity in the process. If you have any questions about the trip, about any of the information I spewed out to you today, don't be afraid to reach out to me either via text, email, direct messenger, through Twitter or Facebook, whatever you have to get a hold of me best. I love talking about these guys. I love talking about the trip, so I will help out wherever I can.
Well said, Bob. I don't want you to get lost in the Bermuda Triangle, but I wouldn't put it past you just to never come back. You are a beach bum at heart and through. So what better way than to get lost in the Bermuda Triangle, somewhere on a tropical island? You can't get too lost, though. You still got to have an internet presence here, right? We still got to do the show virtually. You can have a blackout screen. We don't have to know where you are, where your whereabouts are, but
that's fair.
We can make it happen. Bob, this is a weird game for the Saints. there were a lot of parallels to the first time they faced the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
However, this was a game where you had to get a little lucky. And there were a couple things that went the Saints' way. Chris Olave woke up at the right time. The defense played well. Chase Young had some moments late in the game that I think maybe puts to bed any questions and concerns some people had about bringing Chase Young back. It's games like that, in moments like that, where you need big players to step up, both Chris and Chase. But I want to start on the offensive side of the ball, and I want to start specifically at the end, because in the words of one of the most underrated bands of all time, in my opinion, the Smashing Pumpkins,
Love them.
the end is the beginning is the end, which was off of one of the Batman soundtracks, I believe. So let's start at the end of the game, and let's start with, to this point in the season, as much as we have criticized Kellen Moore and his play calling, the best call of Kellen Moore's career to this point, which was the quarterback draw with 15, 12 seconds, whatever was left.
12 seconds left.
12 seconds left, which Drew Brees specifically talked about, moments like that with 12 seconds left in the booth just a few weeks ago when the Saints played the Falcons. But what a gut! I mean, I guess it is kind of a gutsy call, because you have to rely on the fact that if that penalty flag isn't thrown, you still got to get up and spike the ball, and then Charlie Smith has a chance at a super long field goal. But a smart call, which again, you and I don't think either of us have called Kellen Moore's play calling at this point in the season smart. But that was the best call that I've seen to this point. Shout out to Tyler Shuck for. There was a couple times today where he took a beating and took some big hits and put his body on the line. But that one in particular, Bob, when you see moments like that in a game that can help, and we talked about this last week in the postgame show, culture-setting victories.
Mm-hmm.
When you see a moment like that results in Charlie Smith getting an easier shot at it, that results in a victory, what does that say to you right now about where the Saints' culture is, despite being a bottom 5 team in the league?
Last week was the kind of win that just sends a young team's confidence through the roof. Today's win is the kind of win that it allows you to learn how to win, to do whatever it takes, to do whatever is necessary to notch a victory in that column. And you're right. Let's work our way back from the end. I won't lie. When they lined up with 12 seconds left, I expected either a quick sideline toss, or heave it down the sideline. Maybe either try to inch Charlie Smith closer, as you said, or maybe get a gimme penalty down the field or something like that. And when Tyler Shuck ran the draw, my voice is probably still echoing through my section of the apartment. What the F are you doing with 12 seconds left? And as he started to slide, you said they'd be pressed to be able to get reset and spike the ball. The game's over. I don't think you get reset. Allow the official to spot the ball before you're lined up properly to spike it and give Smith a shot with 5 yards closer. But then as soon as he went into a slide, I realized what was going on. And the Panthers player delivered the hit. And you could say all you want about football not being what it used to be. You could criticize the fact that you aren't allowed to touch quarterbacks now. I do both very often, and I stand by those criticisms. But kudos to Kellen Moore and Tyler Shuck. You're an NBA fan, Brendan. The only person that flopped better than Tyler Shuck on that particular play is LeBron James.
Nice.
But I mean, yeah, but nonetheless, whether you agree with it or not, in the rule of in the black and white rule, you can't hit a quarterback that way. So, kudos to Kellen Moore for understanding the situation, to Tyler Shuck for understanding the situation, and really setting the Panthers up to hang themselves. And that's exactly what happened. I thought it was genius. As idiotic as I thought, as I was screaming when they snapped the ball, I thought I will go out and say it's the most ingenious play call of Kellen Moore's entire football career.
I do wonder, and I don't know if anybody asked this post game or not. I wonder if it was a situation where Shuck got the play call, but then was told, depending on what you see, you could go with this, because there was no D lineman in the A gaps, right? Just the way that they had kind of set up the Panthers. That is, they had 2 linemen to the right side of the quarterback, so over like the tackle, and then you had one that was on the left side, kind of over where Banks was at. You had no one in the A gaps, so I do wonder how much we need to credit Kellen Moore, how much we need to credit Tyler Shuck. Impressed. I was impressed. They got lucky as well to even be in the position they were. But like you said, these are the games where you find ways to win. In games like that, stick with a young team and instill a different type of confidence. Let's talk about the defense leading up to that. So we'll continue to work our way back. Because anybody that watched the broadcast at home, you saw the numbers that were flashed on the screen. Bryce Young, 11 game-winning drives, like most in the NFL since, I think it was 2023, which was a stat that I did not expect Bryce Young to lead in.
No, he'd have been one of the last quarterbacks in the NFL, I would guess. Yeah.
Yeah, but good for Bryce. So you saw that number, and you were a little concerned, right? Any seasoned Saints fan knows how that goes, right? You have this quick scoring drive, this dominant drive to get in the end zone. You have all the momentum, and then all of a sudden, a missed tackle here, a missed tackle there, a pass interference here, and then the game's over. We all know that recipe. And when Bryce Young converted on 3rd and long with his legs,
yeah,
I said, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
And for the defense to then respond with a Chase Young sack, and then with Chase Young chasing down Bryce Young on 3rd down, young on young crime. But
you're on a roll tonight, Mr. Boylan.
Thank you. But with all of that, it was very impressive to see them respond that way, because we haven't seen that yet to this point. And maybe some Saints fans are going to overreact to what this win is, because you're 4-10, you're out of it, but you've put together back-to-back wins. You could spin this thing a million different ways, depending on whether you're a cup half full or a cup half empty type of person, or if you're somewhere in the middle. But I take that as you know what? We haven't seen the defense really step up in a moment like that has resulted in a win this year. But as soon as the Saints got off the field, I had this feeling, and I think a lot of people did, where it's like, okay, this is going to be one of the first times this year where it seems like everything's melted in that pot correctly, and you just got to throw that last secret ingredient into the gumbo pot to make this thing go. And because of that, I was satisfied. whether they were able to go down the field and kick the field goal or not, I said, you know what? I'm satisfied with what this defense has given me to this point.
Yeah.
In a game that the Saints know, the Panthers know, we know what was at stake in that game for the NFC South. And I was very happy to see the resilience and the response from that team at that point in the game to even give themselves a shot to win. And I see that as major growth from the team we were talking about back in September.
Oh, there's no doubt. And the defense, to me, it didn't feel like the defense played a good game at all. I said it after the Week 10 win. Carolina is not as good a team as their record, especially on offense. But nonetheless, you were still facing a division leader who had a ton to play for, while you had nothing to play for except for pride. Well, pride can be the great equalizer to a competitor. And for all you idiots that either wanted them to or thought that the Saints were going to tank this year, take a good look at this game. A team that has given up doesn't rise to the occasion on third and short, and then fourth and short. They don't show the effort. Going back to your young on young crime, Chase Young doesn't run Bryce Young from behind to hold him to a 7-yard scramble rather than 10 or 11, or maybe picking up the first down, on that drive. And by the way, if he picks up that first down, the Panthers probably win today's game. Quincy Riley, 2 plays before that, fighting with Tet McMillan to bring him down short of the sticks. Demario Davis before that, same kind of play. Actually, that was on McMillan. I think the Quincy Riley tackle was on Leggett. But I mean, you can go and like I said, just in the overall scope of things, I didn't feel like the Saints defense played well, but they came up big in situational football when the game mattered the most. And I mean, really, the Panthers had 281 total yards, only 129 in the second half when the defense really stepped up. You kept them. You kept them off the scoreboard for the most part. A beautiful Bryce Young throw to Coker for the touchdown. Where Riley and McKinstry all year long. I mean, their numbers are good anyway, but they are this close to being an elite pair of corners. And yes, I said it, because if you look at the film on Riley and McKinstry, and today it was Riley, a lot of the catches they give up, they are there. They are in good position. They are just a tick slow in either reacting or turning their head or reaching up. They're just a millisecond slow or a millimeter off of being an elite pair of cornerbacks. Just like Chase Young today. Chase Young in the backfield against Carolina. Cam had a good day too. So did Brissy. But Chase Young made a living in the Panthers backfield, but really didn't come up with any major big plays till that sack of Bryce Young. Again, situational football. You don't usually see this from 3-10, well, now 4-10 teams. Because it's hard. It is. It's hard to be competitive when you have nothing to play for in the win-loss column. And when you are playing for pride, your standouts will still stand out more often than not. But that's when you really develop the core of a rebuilding team in games like this, in situations like this. I lost your sound, Brendan. I'm sorry.
It's what I get for muting myself and coughing, right? Opposed to letting all of you hear my beautiful coughing woes as it gets colder. No, I agree with you. And I think that's why I've been so, I've emphasized so much that this last stretch, even as a 3-10, now 4-10 football team, that this last stretch was really important for this team. And I keep using the word culture, and I know some of you are going to get really annoyed as I continue to use that over the next 3 weeks or so, because this team hasn't had that same culture that they did 5 years ago. For the last 5 years, we don't really know or have not known who the Saints are. Right? And everybody's heard that in their lives before, whether it be about sports or themselves. Is like, remember who you are, your core values and what makes Bob Bob. Those are the things that are going to get you through certain moments of your life. Well, for the last 5 years, we have had no idea who the New Orleans Saints are, no idea who the New Orleans Saints really wanted to be. And I think for the first time, and you said this is the first back-to-back win since week 10 and 11 of last year. For the first time in a long time, I can look at this team and go, I kind of have an idea of what this team wants to be. They're far from that final form, but I can at least see the needle moving in a direction, opposed to just looking at it and being, I have no idea what this is. Even going back to last year's team, that was a weird combination of players. We've seen a lot of those guys move on, even at the beginning of this year, right? You look at the deadline and moving on from Rashid Shaheed, moving on from Brandon Cooks, moving on from Trevor Penning. Even at the beginning of the year, we're like, I don't understand what this team is. We're starting to get more of an idea of what this team wants to be and who they are. And I think that is vital down the stretch, especially because you have winnable games. I would not say it is super far-fetched to go, this team could be 7-10 at the end of the year.
Sure.
I'm not saying probable, but I'm saying it's not far-fetched to look at the way the team's played the last 2 weeks, see who they have on the docket coming up, and going, you know what, there's a possibility that this team could end the year in a much better spot than we thought.
Yeah, I mean, you got the New York Jets left at home, mind you, in your last home game of the year. That's an opportunity to make actually a statement win. The Jets are an abysmal football team. I mean, they are, to call them the dregs of society is an insult to dregs all over the world. As much momentum as the Saints have established by beating the Buccaneers and then now beating the Panthers the way that they beat the Panthers, if you lose to the Jets, you've destroyed all that in one fell swoop. And I think the Saints know that. And, to your point, these culture building wins, we know this about the New Orleans Saints. They're going to fight you. This team is going to fight you until the bitter end. And the Jets don't even have any fight in them. They better curb stomp the Jets. And then after that, you're looking at the Tennessee Titans. The Titans ain't much better than the Jets. And, realistically, you can't look at the Saints and say the Saints are more talented than a lot of teams in the league, but they are certainly more talented than the Tennessee Titans. And then you finish off with the Atlanta Falcons. Yeah, I know the Falcons just beat the Buccaneers, and I know what they did to the Saints a few weeks back, last month. But the Atlanta Falcons are an awful football team too. This is a rivalry game, and by that point, you beat the Jets, you beat the Titans. You're already talking about a 6-win football team and a squad that has won 4 games in a row. You better damn well believe that this team at that point wants to go out this season on a high note. By smashing up, their bitter rivals and just go into the offseason with a ton of momentum. So I'm like you. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. I'm just glad to finally get that back-to-back win, monkey off of their backs. But really, if you don't win at least 2 of these next 3 games, then a December that you started with so much promise, you've kind of destroyed. The Saints hold a lot of things in their hands, going into this offseason. And folks, don't think for one second that momentum going into an offseason doesn't mean anything. Yeah, everybody starts 0-0 at the start of the following season, I grant you. But pending free agents are looking at this team saying, you know what? These young guys, they could have just folded in their tents, cashed their paychecks, and called it a year. They didn't. Same with the coaches. So it feels like they're building something here. Again, culture, like going back to your work. That kind of a thing attracts free agents. that kind of thing strengthens the resolve of your existing veterans and strengthens the confidence in the leadership abilities of the young core that you are trying to build. So yeah, this stretch run means a whole lot for this team, for this organization, as we finish out December.
Yeah, I mean, think about where this team was just a little bit ago when there was a lot of people calling for the jobs of certain people. I think we're still there to an extent.
Yep.
But it isn't the sky is falling. And we've joked, and it's not even a joke. I think there's a lot of truth to it, is winning is the best medicine. And I think that's shown over the last few weeks, but winning the ways that they have has also done a number. I do want to get to Tyler Shuck, but I don't want to get lost in this. So I want to take a quick second. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think this was the last week where Charlie Smith could have been a practice squad elevation.
Yes.
Which told me going into the week, he had to earn his spot on the roster.
Probably so, yes.
I think he's earned his spot on the roster.
Yeah.
They were saying on the broadcast, like every time the Saints score at the local pub in his hometown, that there's a free pint for everyone in there every time the Saints score. So what happens when he hits a game-winning field goal? Everybody's drinking the rest of the night, I would hope, over there in Ireland. Credit to him. You know, he's a guy who has had to not just wait his turn, he had to earn his way to where he is, but he has had to wait the last 2 years for like a real opportunity to be the Saints kicker. And outside of last week not being his best showing, to come back from that and drill a game-winning 47-yard field goal. And it looked like the team had a hell of a lot of confidence to trot him out there from 60.
Yeah.
I think that says a lot about who Charlie Smith is. Again, I'm not ready to crown him the kicker of the future. But has he earned himself the rest of the season? Abso-freaking-lutely.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, I think if that quarterback draw at the end, wouldn't have been successful, as far as drawing the penalty, but the Saints would have somehow still stopped the clock. Again, highly unlikely, but that would have been about a 65-yard field goal. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. About a 60-yarder. Yeah, because Shuck's run picked up about 4 or 5 yards. And I don't think Kellen Moore would have hesitated 1 second, to trot Charlie Smith out there. And I think if Blake Grupe were still on the roster, he wouldn't have done that. He'd have thrown a Hail Mary or something, a lateral play, hook and ladder, something like that. I don't think he had that kind of confidence in Grupe that he does in Charlie Smith, and that's Smith, and that's huge. And I feel so good for the young man. Seems like a great guy. Obviously, the story is, if he goes on to have a successful, Saints career, the story of his journey to the NFL is one of legend, maybe surpassed only by our own beer man, Michael Lewis, which you could hear more about if you are a 2026 Go Black and Gold celebrity charity fan cruise goer. But yeah, I mean, Charlie Smith's NFL journey would have been one of legend, if he turns this into even an average NFL career. But cinema is all about a great storyline, right? Mm-hmm. And Charlie is certainly providing that. And remember, earlier in the quarter, he had kicked a near 50-yard field goal, to get the Saints within striking distance. That was just taken back by a timely, one of many timely Carolina Panther penalties that put the Saints in position to go for it on fourth down instead. And Kellen Moore made the correct decision in doing so. But Smythe has been money more often than not. I'd like to see him more consistent on his kickoffs, but I'm pretty confident in his field goal kicking right now. And you could tell that players and coaches on this team are too.
Yeah, even some of the post-game interviews or media availabilities, even Chris Olave came out and said, like, I had no doubt when they trotted him out for 47. I had no doubt in my mind. And I think that does say a lot, because as consistent as Groupie was his first few years, obviously, the reason he got released was the inconsistencies for a 5-week stretch that made it iffy on whether they were going to trot him out for things. And I think what you said is an excellent point, is if Groupie was still here, do you trot him out for 60, given he hit from 60 for Indy today?
Did he? Of course he did.
Yeah, to take the lead in that game. I don't know if they ended up winning.
They did not.
So he hit a field goal late from 60 to take the lead, but of course he did. He's 5 for 5 since he's been with the Colts. Well, of course he is. But yeah, I mean, it says a lot when you're willing to draw up a draw play, and say, well, we're going to spike it, and we're going to let Charlie try to hit it from 60, 61 yards and just see what happens. I think that says a lot. So kudos to Charlie Smith. Hopefully everyone over in Ireland's having a good old time after that one. That's stuff you don't forget.
Mm-hmm.
Let's close out today by talking about the quarterback. Talk about Tyler Shuck a little bit, and obviously we'll talk a little bit more about it later this week. I think we're gonna go Friday because of some scheduling stuff. But we'll talk more about it on Friday and look ahead to the rest of the way for him. But you and I said multiple times that if we had a dream scenario without wins and losses, if we had a dream scenario on how the rest of the season would play out for him when he took over the starting job, was that he played well enough to where the Saints did not need to feel the pressure of looking at quarterbacks in the first or even second round. I am confident to say I don't think either of us are early in thinking this or jumping ahead of ourselves. I think we can comfortably say that Shuck has done enough to warrant him being the starter next year.
Mm-hmm.
And the Saints not having to spend a day 1 or day 2 pick on a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He's been very impressive. There are still things, just like any rookie quarterback, even a 26-year-old rookie, that you would like to see get cleaned up. However, there have been a lot of times this season, and even more so the last 3 weeks, really, or I've looked at Tyler Shuck and gone, oh, okay. Didn't expect that. Or, hey, you know what? He didn't show me a whole lot of that at Louisville. That's kind of impressive. Things like that.
You only read the scouting reports done by your co-host of many, many years, but go on.
I did not expect him to be as fast. There's nothing on that Louisville tape that made me go, this guy could really run away from people if he had to. I've been impressed with that. I have been impressed with his ability to climb the pocket. There have also been times, and on the same hand, there have been times where I'm like, stop trying to climb the pocket and get rid of the damn ball.
Right.
So there's that. But I've been very impressed. And he has made some throws that some seasoned NFL vets don't even attempt, let alone complete. I think all of this is more impressive that you have a guy like Austin Jr. today, who was targeted once all year, made 3 catches. I think it was only 3 catches for like 33 yards, somewhere in that realm.
But you're dead on. That's exactly what it was.
Okay. So a guy like that who was targeted in big moments and no hesitation to get him the football. I was impressed with, and it was funny because it was right on cue with RG3 saying, they really got to get Chris Olave more involved. And you have a whole drive where Chris Olave just dominates the drive, which I think speaks a lot to Chris Olave.
Yeah.
As well. We've been waiting for moments like that where Chris Olave just has the takeover option. It was like the takeover in a video game, where all of a sudden it's just which I don't know what they call it in Madden now, but there's like different tiers that you can unlock in the middle of a game. But his superstar trait or whatever became unlocked, and he was catching anything and everything. But I think it credits a lot of Tyler Shuck as well, and Kellen Moore for some of the play calls there. But Shuck having no hesitation to throw Chris Olave open, even later in the game on that final drive, throwing a contested ball up and trusting Chris to get it, even though it was broken up by J.C. Horn. There's a lot of confidence in that kid. I say kid like I'm a whole lot older than him, but there's a lot of confidence in Tyler Shuck. Things that I would not have expected earlier in the year. And with that, I'm impressed. And with that, I'm confident to say, you know what? He's going to be the guy moving forward until he shows me that he's not. But I think it's going to have to take a lot to show me that he's not. I've been very impressed with him at this point. There's still a lot of growth to be had. But there's also some work that Mickey Loomis in the front office has to do in getting him some weapons. Next season. We've seen Devon Vele come up big. He's going to be an interesting one to watch going into next week. He left the game in a sling. Yeah. But he's come up big at moments. Like I said, Chris Olave has. Jawan Johnson didn't have a stellar game, but still had a handful of catches for about 40-something yards. Obviously, Neal leaves the game early. There wasn't much of a running attack. I think Shuck was the leading rusher.
He was.
Without pulling up the numbers in front of me. And it wasn't anything impressive. I don't even think he gained 40 yards on the ground.
32.
Thank you, Bob. Right there with the handy-dandy notebook. But all that considered, do you feel the same way? That the Saints have found their quarterback for the foreseeable future?
We are looking at the unquestioned Saints starting quarterback in 2026. I don't think there's any doubt. There shouldn't be any doubt in anybody's mind. And most of I was a fan of Tyler Shuck coming into the pre-draft process. I became an even bigger fan once I started doing all the draft analysis, all the more in-depth draft analysis that I typically do. I was one of only a handful, it feels like, that was a fan of the pick that when they made it. Now, I'm going to say this about today's performance. Today's performance from Tyler Shuck is the kind of thing you see when your franchise quarterback starts to come of age. Now, I worded it that way because I'm not calling him a franchise quarterback yet. Because like you, Brendan, I still feel like Tyler Shuck has a lot to show us. And even you could have all the ability in the world. If you don't win, you're not a franchise quarterback by definition. But I mean, consider some of this stuff. Alvin Kamara is on the sideline. Whether you like him or hate him, I don't think even the Chris Olave fans, and you and I have been fans of Chris's, I don't even think the diehard Chris Olave fans will come out and say he's an elite number one receiver. So you have Alvin Kamara sidelined. You don't have an elite number one receiver on the roster. You have one of the most porous offensive lines in the entire NFL. And one that doesn't hesitate to put you behind and down in distance via penalty either, by the way. And then you lose your backup running back in the second half. You lose the receiver, Vele, that it seems like you have the most trust in clutch situations. So you were without Devin Neal and Vele throughout the second half. And Tyler Shuck in the final two quarters was 16 of 21. for 193 yards. No turnovers, 1 touchdown. As you said, he had to be the lead team's leading rusher by necessity. I mean, we're not talking about Lamar Jackson, Michael Vick, or even Josh Allen here. Tyler Shuck is a good athlete, yeah, but he's not in that category where he's going to have 70 or 80 yards because of design quarterback run. These were scrambles, all but a couple of them. In the final 2 drives of the game, Shuck was 9 of 11, technically 9 of 12, but 1 was a spike. 9 of 11 for 127 yards. He took over the team. The team was at their own 8-yard line with under a minute to go and no timeout, 1 timeout. He drove them like that into field goal position. The prior drive, he drove them 78 yards. Technically 88, because remember, there was a penalty in there, an offensive line penalty that pushed him back 10 yards. All that with, yes, Chris Olave. And I think Juwan Johnson made maybe 1 catch out of those final 2 drives. Yeah, Chris Olave, Juwan Johnson, and wait for it, Audric Estime, Kevin Austin Jr., Mason Tipton. Those were your other weapons. This is the kind of, and again, I don't want to engage too much in hyperbole, but this is the kind of thing that you look back on a great one's career. I'm forget a John Elway fan. John Elway is my sports idol. Anybody who knows me knows that. John Elway was having a horrid rookie season in 1983 against the Baltimore Colts. The team that drafted him late in the year in Mile High. They were down 19-0 with 5 minutes to go. He threw 3 touchdown passes in his final 5 minutes, 21 seconds to be precise. And he threw them. 2 of the touchdown passes were to guys that were out of the NFL in less than 2 years after that. John Elway is one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game of football. I'm not even remotely suggesting that Tyler Shuck is anywhere near that or anywhere near our own legend from New Orleans, Drew Brees. But my point is, this is the kind of stuff out of a great quarterback that you look back on and say, you know what? That's when I knew he was going to be a great quarterback. Moments like this. And it's moments like this that galvanize a team because of a situation, but behind a player or behind a coach. Because we need 60 yards with no timeouts in less than a minute. We got Tyler Shuck and you don't. I like our chances. When that kind of thing happens, it's just it's remarkably galvanizing for an entire organization. And again, Tyler Shuck still has a lot to show all of us. But these are the kind we're seeing the progressions with each week. We're seeing the poise. We're seeing you never want your quarterback to be a Superman, because rarely will teams win a championship with that kind of culture. But if you find that guy that you can build your team, or what do we always say, Brendan? There are 2 types of pro football teams. The ones that have their franchise quarterback and the ones that are desperately looking for their franchise quarterback. It feels like after a day like today, the Saints are a little bit closer to the former, the ones that you feel like you have your franchise quarterback. Is it set in stone yet? Absolutely not. But the fact that Tyler Shuck is going to be your starter in 2026, and you have to feel pretty damn good about that if you're Kellen Moore, if you're Chris Olave, if you're Demario Davis, veteran and rookie alike, you have to feel pretty good about that sitting here tonight on December 14th. That, you know what? I know I have my quarterback next year. Let's build around him and see how good he can really be. See how good he can really make us. How good he can really be is one question. How good he can make us is a completely different one. That people, the kind of question that not enough people ask. Yeah, there are great players, great quarterbacks out there, but some guys just aren't the ones to take you to that next level. Now that the Saints feel like they do have their quarterback for at least the upcoming year, to find out how good he can make you will be the next question that not only he has to answer, but you have to answer. But again, it's a hell of a lot more easing to know, okay, at least we found our quarterback. Let's build around him and see how good we can be after that.
So we've been looking for that for a long time. I do want to go back before we close out to touch on one thing you said. Is you said something along the lines of, you need 60 yards. We have Tyler Shuck. You don't. We, like our chances if you can get to that position, and how galvanizing and magical it is to have a guy like that in your corner. I do think there's a lot of Saints fans that often forget how galvanizing, magical, and fortunate that you are when you have that. Because how many years did we sit here, even on this, podcast or even writing together, where it was, the Saints didn't have super talented rosters. I'm thinking the 12 to 15, 16 season, where it was, you always felt like you had a chance because you had Drew.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't matter how far behind you were in a game. I always go back to some of those, some of the surgical moments of Drew Brees' career. And the two that come to my mind instantly, I think of opening night 2019.
Yes, Houston.
2019 against Houston, which was a great quarterback battle, that whole game. But that drive to get the Saints into field goal position for Will Lutz to knock, I think it was
59 yards.
The 59. Oh, I was going to say it was close to 60, but I didn't know if it was 59. But 59-yard field goal, that drive, surgical. You brought up the lack of weapons that Tyler Shuck has, and I think back to Drew Brees against Atlanta, where he hits Austin Carr and Dan Arnold and my guy Keith Kirkwood, and there was one other, maybe it was Tommy Lee Lewis, and he hits 4 different undrafted receivers for touchdowns in that game. And those are the things that make it special.
I think at 2015, again, the Eli game, where Brees threw, and he threw 7 touchdowns, because if he threw 6 touchdowns, the Saints lose that game.
Yeah.
Again, it was, from 2006 until 2019. 2020 was a different animal. So from 2006 to 2019, it was almost always, we have Drew Brees and you don't. And
we have a shot.
It was glorious. It was a glorious life.
And we're not saying by any means that Tyler Shuck is there.
No.
But
today he was.
Today are days that make you hopeful that he could get somewhere close to that.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, Bob Rose.
And like I said, he could play 300 games the rest of his career, never have a moment like this. But we talk. We have John Elway, you don't. We have Drew Brees, you don't. Well, today, the New Orleans Saints had Tyler Shuck, and the Carolina Panthers didn't. That's why the New Orleans Saints won today, and the Carolina Panthers didn't.
It's crazy to say that about. I mean, I've talked about Bryce Young a lot on this show, especially this season. It's crazy to say that about a number 1 pick.
Right.
Tyler Shuck, the 7-year college kid, outdueled the number 1 pick, the Heisman Trophy winner. Crazy. Well, Bob's going to have more opinions, not just on this show, not just when he's sipping on Taco Bell's Baja Blast. I don't know if it's a Baja Blast or not.
It actually is. The only time I will drink a Baja Blast, you have to drink a Baja Blast when you eat Taco Bell. It's a law.
It's a law. You heard it from Bob Rose. It's a law. Bob's going to have more opinions. Like I said, whether it is sipping on a Baja Blast, whether it's on the show, but most importantly, The way he gets paid is by his written work. I know Bob's going to have more of that along with John Singler and all those other guys at Saints Wire, a USA Today publication. So, Bob, where can people follow you and your work and read things so you can get paid here at the holidays?
The best thing for you to do is follow all of us at the Saints Wire. Starting with John Sigler, my boss, myself, Jeremy. There's a handful of really good writers over there. We all put out content that we're very proud of. And Saints Wire could be followed on the regular USA Today at .com page, but specifically you could follow you could find Saints Wire via Google, Siri, or any social media platform. And as always, I will continue to post my own personal articles. My game ball piece, came out, was published just after Brendan and I went on the air this Sunday night. So check that out. I'll have my usual good, bad, and ugly, and then I'll go into other editorials and then preview of the next week's Jets game into this week, obviously. And I'll post all those on my own personal social media pages too, which is Bob Rose on Facebook and at Bobby R2613. Don't forget, folks, check out tcynow.org. Help them out wherever you can. But the best way to do it is book that cabin today for the 2026 Get Checked or Check Out Foundation's annual cruise. Those dates are March 26th through March 30th. I want you to join me, Delvin Bro, Tyrone Hughes, Courtney Roby, Michael Lewis. I want you to join all of us, and such a great group of people. I'd list y'all by names every week if I could, if we had time. But our Saints players are our top billing, as you know. But let's add to the legend, to the growing legend of the celebrity charity fan cruise for the Go Black and Gold and Get Checked or Check Out.
For myself, you can follow me virtually everywhere at BT Boylan. Bob and I will be back on Friday night. We're going to switch up some things, especially as we get closer to the holidays. So thank you in advance for adjusting to us and dealing with us as we navigate the holiday season. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in for a winning edition of the Bayou Blitz post-game show. A post-game extravaganza, I think is what we were calling it last year. We haven't had a whole lot of extravaganzas this year. We have back-to-back weeks of extravaganzas. Does that what is extravaganza? Extravaganzas? I guess that's the plural version.
Let's invent a new extravaganza.
I would see that, and that's what we do, right? Especially around draft season, we're going to go ahead and start inventing words early. It's an extravaganza. So thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you on Friday, and until then, I hope you guys find some peace, spread love, practice positivity. We'll see you Friday for another edition of the Bayou Blitz podcast. See you then.